It's time to go over the College Football 26 presentation deep dive that EA Sports just dropped. Now, this video is presented by the EA Creator Network, and they did get me the information a little bit early so that I could get this video ready for you. So we're going to dive into everything they've done with presentation this year. We're going to go over new mascots, dynamic lighting, new team runouts, and more. And also, don't forget the Dynasty deep dive is coming tomorrow, so we're getting a bunch of information back to back. That's going to be a pretty big one and a very important one. You're not going to want to miss that. We're also going to have a Road to Glory deep dive very soon as well. So if you don't want to miss any of that, make sure to subscribe and turn the bell icon on so you get that information as soon as it drops. Trying to hit 650k subs before the release of this game, so if everybody watching just subscribed, we could hit that number in a couple days. Now, there's no trailer or video for this specific deep dive. There will be one tomorrow for Dynasty. The presentation deep dive today is just a big blog, and it does have some screenshots, but there is a lot of good info here. And they start off by saying that, they delivered good presentation last year for 25, but they really wanted to up it in 26. They felt like they laid a good foundation last year, but they want to keep building on top of that. And the first thing we got to start with is dynamic time of day. In-game lighting is a key part of making a visually stunning game. It says that we've made major improvements in this area for College 26. Our improved lighting systems boost the realism of every scene from the pre-game warm-ups to the post-game celebrations. One of the most requested features last year was dynamic time of day. Now as you are playing the game, you'll notice a change in lighting from quarter to quarter. You could start a late afternoon game and then it will be dark before you finish. But they're also going deeper than just that. They're adding regional time of day as well, which means a 6 p.m. kickoff in Chestnut Hill will look different from a 6 p.m. kickoff in Austin, reflecting each location's unique lighting. They're also adding seasonal time of day. It says games in November will get darker sooner than those in September, adding a realism tied to the time of year. For example, a game that starts at 3:30 p.m. in Happy Valley in September will still have the sun up at 5 p.m., but a game in November, the sun will be down as the game is ending. They said that they've created a game that looks and feels alive no matter where you play. This feature ensures that every game feels distinct, whether it's a sunny afternoon matchup or a primetime game under the lights. Now let's move on to some more pageantry stuff here. It says one of the most exciting additions for College 26 is the evolution of pregame runouts and pageantry. These celebrate the unique traditions and energy of each school. It says this year we've upgraded runouts, introducing a tiered system that adapts to the game's context and reflects each program's individuality. Whether it's a primetime game, a rivalry, or a quick matchup in your road to the college football playoff grind, our new runout system ensures that every game is tailored to the moment. So this starts with epic runouts, which is primetime pageantry. It says reserved for special night games across iconic locations. Epic runouts aim to create the best primetime experience. These sequences include light and drone shows drawing from the many real-world references. The focus is to immerse players in the thrilling atmosphere of a major matchup with the lights dimmed, phones out, and Cocky at center stage hyping up the crowd at South Carolina University, where the stakes are high and the energy level hits at an all-time high. One standout feature for College 26 is the use of light and drone shows in the pregame experience. These visual displays are inspired by reality and tailored to each team, adding authenticity and excitement to the game. Teams with light shows include Alabama, Auburn, Georgia, Nebraska, South Carolina, Tennessee, North Carolina State, Georgia Tech, North Carolina, Texas State, UCF, Boston College, Notre Dame, Rutgers, and UCLA. Each light show is tailored to reflect the school's tradition and stadium vibe. For example, for Alabama, the stadium lights up in red, creating a bold visual that matches the Crimson Tide's strength. For Tennessee, the light up T shines brightly, capturing the spirit of the Volunteers. For North Carolina, spotlights move across the field, adding drama to the Tar Heels entrance. But we also have drone shows which elevate the spectacle, merging technology with school pride. For example, Clemson's drone will form a tiger paw in the sky, while Ohio State's drone creates a recognizable Block O and Brutus the Buckeye. Teams with drone shows include Arizona State, Cal, Florida, LSU, Texas, Ohio State, Clemson, and Nebraska. These shows display intricate aerial patterns that blend advanced technology with school pride. For Texas, the drones create the famous Longhorn logo in the sky, making stunning visual statement before the game. For LSU, the drones illuminate the night with purple and gold designs, honoring the Tigers' rich heritage. Now those are the epic runouts, but they also have the traditional standard runouts, and it says tradition and atmosphere are what we all know and love. The team runouts build on the foundation of last year's sequences, incorporating more traditions and new mascots. So some new stuff they've added this year is Ohio and Utah. The motorcycles lead the run out, adding power and excitement to the entrance. For South Carolina, it says the iconic Cockaboose arrives, celebrating the Gamecocks' unique tradition. For the Oklahoma Sooners, the cherished wagon rides onto the field, representing the spirit of the Sooners. And they've also added some more team runouts than just that, but those are just some of the examples that they gave. Then they also got something that's called quick runouts, which is streamlined for speed. It says these sequences are shorter versions of the standard runouts, offering a quick experience without losing the essence of college football. This is going to be the default for the Road to the College Football Playoff online mode, which caters to ranked players prefer efficiency, but they also can appear in Dynasty mode for unranked CPU opponents at home. So maybe for the unranked opponents, you get a quicker run out. For the rivalry games, for big opponents, you're going to get more of the standard runouts. And then for the night games, for the really big games, you're going to get more epic runouts. So kind of tailoring it to the hype of the game in a way. But they've also added some different stuff for Road to Glory here that they mentioned. It said Road to Glory runouts are specifically designed for the Road to Glory experience, offering a more personal view where you are actually in the runout from the tunnel to running across the field. Unlike other runouts, the Road to Glory runout sequence uses a player-controlled camera that gives you the perspective of your athlete. Use the right stick to look around in the tunnel and up at the fireworks blasting off along the top of the press box as you hear 80 to 100,000 fans screaming. And this is pretty cool. They did show us this when we were down at EA, so when you're running out with your player in Road to Glory, you can look around the tunnel at the players around you. When you're running out onto the field, you can look around the stadium, which is cool. It's just a nice little touch. Not something that's going to make or break the mode, but something that just makes you feel a little bit more immersed in your career mode, which I think is pretty cool. Moving on to band formations, it says also keep an eye out for iconic pregame band formations across teams such as Illinois, Appalachian State, Minnesota, Penn State, Louisiana Lafayette, and many, many more. So there's going to be more band formations in the game this year that you will see, I guess, for pregame and things like that, maybe even in the middle of the game, like at a halftime or something. So it's cool that they're just adding a little more touches onto that presentation. Moving on to the mascots here, it says for College Football 26, we prioritize expanding and improving these features to bring even more authenticity and personality to the game. We heard your feedback from last year, and this year we're excited to introduce new mascots and touchdown/turnover traditions that celebrate each program's uniqueness. So here are all the new mascots that were added this year. There's quite a bit of them, so I'm going to have them up in a few separate screenshots for you to look at. So you can see we've got Utah in the game, Iowa, Arkansas, Duke. We've got Kansas and Kansas State, Mississippi State, Boise State, Boston College, Louisville, Pittsburgh, SMU, Army and Navy, NC State, Ohio, East Carolina, South Florida, Northwestern, Washington State and Oregon State, Rutgers, Kentucky, Missouri, Air Force, Arizona, Baylor, Cincinnati, Iowa State, Texas State, Akron, Bowling Green, Wyoming, Colorado State, Coastal Carolina, and even the Pop-Tart Bowl mascot, which is a fan favorite. It says, yes, even the Pop-Tarts Bowl has its own mascot, adding a whimsical charm to the game. That's probably going to be most people's favorite right there, other than if your favorite team got theirs added. So a lot of good additions here with the mascots. I think we had about 50 last year, so now with this, it looks like we're maybe around 80-ish, which is pretty cool. A lot of the bigger schools should all have their people in the game at this point. And of course, each of these mascots will have their own flair. They're going to do the things in game that they would do in a real life game for the most part, so they're going to act like you would see if you were watching your team play. Moving over to the turnover traditions, we saw a good amount of this last year, and it looks like they've added quite a bit more because this is such a big part of college football now. These celebrations are unique, capturing the excitement and pride of impactful plays. So here are some of the standout additions. So they're saying standout, which means maybe there's even more than this. It says Texas and Arizona turnover swords. Both teams have introduced turnover swords, adding a distinct flair to their celebrations. Look out for those footballs stacking up for Arizona. So yes, the more turnovers you get with Arizona, they will keep stacking balls on the sword like they do in real life. The Akron turnover tire is placed around a player after an interception or fumble recovery. Georgia's Savage pads were added. TCU Froghorn. The Horned Frogs celebrate touchdowns with the Froghorn, a beloved tradition among fans and players. Oklahoma State paddles. The fans celebrate with their symbolic paddles, showing their passion in Stillwater. Liberty player hand sign. Liberty players signal with unique hand signs after big plays, showcasing the program's pride and unity. Nebraska balloons. After a touchdown, Nebraska fans release balloons into the sky. And it says plus many more. So more turnover celebrations, more touchdown celebrations. Again, these things that teams do in real life or fans do in real life, we want to see that in the game because it makes it feel more unique, more authentic. Moving on to rivalries, it says another area that we concentrated on was adding more rivalry game trophies, a big differentiator for college football. It says go out there and compete for the Battle of the Bones and try to collect them all for your trophy room. Make sure to check out the Dynasty Deep Dive tomorrow to learn more about that. Moving on to player likeness, it says last year they created over 12,000 player likenesses without traditional scanning methods, and they said, this year they're trying to make it even better. They're trying to build on what they did last year with the AI learning and the faces and stuff, because obviously you can't scan that many players in the game. It's just not feasible. So it says there's a new standard this year. It says our main focus this year was improving player authenticity. In College Football 25, we established a strong base of player likeness variations. For College 26, we improved the fidelity for all player heads with the newly upgraded machine learning-based pipeline. They also expanded player body types, which is something they absolutely needed to do. Some of those QBs last year looked massive. It just was ridiculous. It says college athletes come in many sizes, and we wanted to showcase that diversity. This year, we introduced a lean body type to better represent the physiques of many college athletes, including quarterbacks, defensive backs, and wide receivers. So we should see the slimmer guys look slimmer this year, not look nearly as bulky as he did last year. They also did some work with jersey deformation and wrinkle simulation. It says this new feature adds a dynamic layer to the gameplay, especially alongside our physics-based tackling. We use machine learning to train thousands of player animations for realistic jersey deformation, improving the visual fidelity of every play. It says these updates ensure that every player from the star quarterback to the underappreciated special teams player look and feels like they belong on the field. Uniforms are key to college football's identity, showcasing the pride and uniqueness of each program. In College 26, we've made significant progress in expanding and updating uniform options, ensuring that every team from high schools to FCS programs look their best on the field. For high school uniforms, it says we introduced a mix of classic and modern styles for high school teams. These designs will be unique to each high school, so whether you prefer traditional designs or modern looks, these uniforms capture the essence of high school football. But it says players can also import custom teams from Team Builder for even more personalization, which I think a lot of people are probably going to do that. Some more updates for uniforms. It says throughout the year, our team continues to review uniforms to keep teams current with real-world changes. For example, Delaware and Missouri State's assets are brand new and included, along with other updates to many teams. This includes over 25 new helmet options and other items not included in College 25. And it says they've also addressed multiple community feedback notes, such as fixing the color shift on Arizona's maroon helmet and the nameplate clipping into the stripes on the LSU jersey, and others to ensure details are polished and more accurate. Moving on to head coaches, it says they have 300 coach likenesses in College 26. This includes head coaches and a large amount of real offensive and defensive coordinators, which we already kind of knew that, but they're just reiterating it here in this deep dive. This is an interesting one that says the student, crowd, and secondary characters. It says college football is as much about the atmosphere as the game itself. The excitement of the crowd, the energy of the student section, and passion across the whole crowd all add to the magic of game day. For College 26, they've added 1,700 plus new heads for secondary characters. It says we created a wide variety of new heads to ensure that the crowd feels as lively and diverse as the players on the field. It also says they did some stuff with strand hair simulation. It says this new hair technology adds realism to characters from cheerleaders to student sections when we zoom in on the camera. It also says student, hero, crowd, and cheerleaders. These characters have been upgraded to match the detail of our players, ensuring that every aspect of the game feels connected and immersive. And it says, yes, we heard the memes about last year, that one super fan who seemed to appear in every game. He's now watching from home, replaced by a more varied and authentic crowd. So yeah, last year, crowd was fine in my opinion last year for the first game, but they're trying to make it better. You don't want to see the exact same fan at every stadium, which we saw last year. You want to make them also look as realistic as possible. Some of the fans looked a little crazy at times, so it looks like they're just doing work to vary up the crowd, make it look more unique. Each time you load into a game, you kind of see something different there, which is cool. Moving on to audio and commentary, it says we're excited to bring back our 2 commentary teams from College 25 into College 26. Combined, our teams have spent 200 additional hours in the booth and recorded 15,000 new lines to build on their initial College 25 content. This year, we've added more content around rivalry games, Battle of the Bones, Wagon Wheel, Battle for I-10, for example, the college football playoff, and the callouts and recaps on significant results from 2024. Everything from the Texas early visit to Michigan last year to the 8 OT Classic between Georgia and Georgia Tech, capping it off with each of the 2024 college football playoff games in case anyone was looking for payback. We've also added banter around coaches and players from last year. Having real coaches as part of College 26, it's something that our commentary teams thoroughly enjoyed exploring for the first time. As for the players, some of the players will be mentioning having returned this upcoming season to help lead the way in a push towards the playoffs, and some teams will be looking for answers and replacing the production of players who left. Finally, we want to add to your story throughout the season, whether in Dynasty or Road to Glory, and hearing how your season is progressing through the commentary is important. Creating talking points about postseason results from the previous year, national ranking check-ins, reliance on the transfer portal, your recruiting results, and how you as a player are progressing through an individual game will help make the season feel more alive. So that's good. I mean, commentary definitely could have been better last year, so it sounds like they're working on it, making it a little bit more authentic this year, making it mention things that you're doing in your modes, which I think is very important. So we'll see how that plays out. Moving on to the music, it says, beyond putting our commentary together, one of our favorite things is working on the wide variety of music. It says, for PA music, fan favorites from last year have returned in Sandstorm, Zombie Nation, Tsunami, and of course Mo Bamba. But this year we've added those iconic stadium songs with Shipping Up to Boston, Mr. Brightside, Seven Nation Army, and Enter Sandman, and more. So there's going to be more than even that. Fans of schools who use some of these songs for iconic moments every Saturday, like Virginia Tech and Michigan, we hope you enjoy being able to recreate those iconic moments at home with your friends and family. And then that brings us to the marching band. It says, first off, the press start screen is going to sound a bit different from last year. That's because we worked with Auburn University Marching Band under the leadership of marching band director Corey Sperlin, I believe that's how you say his name, to record a version of our theme for College 26. Additionally, we're excited to launch this year with 88 new pieces of marching band music to enhance the stadium experience for our players. We scoured message boards, Reddit threads, and even tuned in to some passionate streamers looking for iconic songs players were seeking after launch last year. So there's going to be a lot more band songs in the game in general. I think we're going to hear a lot of this in the menu, so we're not just going to hear the same drumline beat from last year, thank God. And then it also adds on here, SMU, y'all are crazy with those different fight song variations. And Houston will always be talking about the Cougars, so I guess they're just hinting at some stuff that is in the game. And here they actually do mention the drumline. It says, as part of the 88 new pieces of music, we have 20 new drumline tracks to feature in-game as part of the menu, so we won't hear the same one as last year over and over and over. It also says here that they're proud to be pairing the drumline with 51 new fight songs from schools around the country and 16 pop song covers by the EA Sports College Football Marching Band. It says, we recorded these 16 stadium-rattling interpretations of songs from pop, rock, country, hip-hop, and beyond, including Blinding Lights, I Had Some Help, B.O.B., Swag Surfing, Get By, Focus, DNA, Vegas, and more to add to your experience in-game. So I think these will play during game. It might play in menus as well, but I think bands will play some of these songs during the game, just like they would in real life. So that's pretty cool. And that's not it. We got more here. It says chants and crowds. It says we focus on amplifying fight songs and rousers to bring the music and crowd together, and from adding the Maryland to the end of Maryland's victory song to the BGSU as part of Bowling Green's A Ziggy. Both new songs, by the way. These have been a blast to put together. It says one of the big focal points of the audio experience this year was to push our crowd chants even more where they were in College 25. So we recorded an additional 160 chants to feature in our game across all modes. Yes, even in high school and Road to Glory, there will be chants for the teams there. It says they've added new crowd chants for a lot of teams, and they also have added them singing along to songs like Mr. Brightside and Enter Sandman. So not only will you hear it playing, you'll hear the crowd chanting along with it, singing along with it as well. And it says, finally, let's talk about crowd noise. No college game is complete without a fired up crowd. Over the past year, we have been able to amplify and build out the crowd experience to make places like Tiger Stadium at LSU stand out. It says our partnership with ESPN in this area has been fantastic in building these environments, and College Football 26 will have added recordings from over 40 games from the 2024 season. And it says they also added new in-game broadcast graphics. It says we have refreshed the game with a new style and all new broadcast banners throughout the game from the first time you enter the field, between quarters, and halftime stat updates. Entering the field, you can trigger a large variety of different information from game to game, such as comparing top players between the team, a lineup view of the defensive lineup, a crew of the top talented running backs, comparing the QBs against each other, or featuring the team's top impact players of the game. So yeah, all in all, it sounds like they're taking what they did last year with 25, which I thought was pretty solid presentation for the first game back. They're building on it this year. We've got more mascots, more runouts, more epic night games, more stuff for rivalries, more commentary, More music, which I think is actually really cool because that's like the harder stuff to get sometimes. So they got more music, more crowd chants, adding more uniforms, making the uniforms look better, making player types look better. I mean, I think all this is good stuff. At this point, I would say the one big thing I hope they work on in the future is like a crazy halftime show. And since they did do that for Madden this year, I would think maybe next year we get that for this game. But all in all, they're doing pretty good with the presentation, the atmosphere, and I can't wait to get my hands on the game and kind of just see it all firsthand. Now, if you want to know everything we learned about gameplay for College Football 26, which is quite a bit, make sure you check out this important video right here on the screen.